Powered by Riverside.
Welcome back to the Movement for Life podcast. My name is Kolby Krystofik, owner and operator here at Oxnard Movement. Today, we've got another coach on the show with us. We have Coach Casey here with us this morning. Before we kind of dive into her life and who she is, we always start with ways that we moved in the last week. So Casey, talk to me. What'd you do in the last week for movement?
Yeah, hi. So I did quite a bit of CrossFit in the mornings, which is like my normal routine. And then I went for a run partly with my dog and then partly on my own. And then right now I am slowly cooling down from taking my first endurance class here on Sunday. So I got to join with everybody else and it was difficult, but fun.
All right. Nice. Yeah. First endurance class. What was your total time?
64:48.
64 minutes of work.
Yes.
That is something.
Yes. And it felt like all 64 minutes.
Thanks for sharing. I did some CrossFit as well. I've been solid back on my routine. I took 3 classes last week and I did 2 days of additional training as well. And then this last week, I actually played 2 days of pickleball.
Nice.
That's a record for me in the last little while. 2 days of pickleball. Yeah. What else did I do? I didn't do any running, didn't do any surfing. It's just some pickleball and some CrossFit training. It's been pretty busy, starting with a new transition. If you've been listening to the show, you kind of know that we are taking over another gym space starting December 1st, which is coming up very fast. So days have been long and busy, but we are super excited to take on another space. Cool. This is going to be a super fun episode. Casey is our tried and true Saturday morning class. She gets to teach most, if not all, of our Bring a Friend days as well. She brings an amazing energy to the gym, and if you've taken a class with her, you know that. But I want to share more of who Casey is with all of you guys. And so let's start from the beginning.
September 3rd, 1996.
September
I was born.
3rd, 1996.
Yes.
Where were you born, Casey?
Leominster, Massachusetts.
Born in Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
Leominster.
Yeah.
Tell us where that's at. I have no idea where Leominster is.
It's about a half hour north of Worcester. So I was born in Leominster, lived in Lunenburg my entire life. Actually grew up in the house that my mom grew up in. So,
Whoa.
And then my dad grew up 2 towns over, 1 town over. So very like hometowny, very small town. Graduated in a class of 107 kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So very different than out here. When I found out that one town or city out here has multiple high schools and their classes are like 1,000 kids, I thought that was absolutely crazy and never knew that like even existed. But yeah, so from Massachusetts, spent a lot of my time as I was growing up in a lot of different sports. I was very lucky to have parents who pretty much like, if we wanted to do something, they put us into it. So cool. I think I've counted once and I have done some form or been coached in some way or on some team of like, I think it was like 10 or 12 different sports.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of my first sports was figure skating. I did like 8 years of figure skating.
8 years of figure skating?
Yeah, my sister did synchronized skating. So like we traveled, but I was like the younger sister that just like went along with the family as like she went to all like the shows and stuff. But yeah, I figure skated for until my freshman year of high school is when I stopped. And I would just do it like on the weekends, but it was really fun. So we spent a lot of time like in the ring.
Wow.
So I did that, and that was like one of my first sports. I did a little bit of gymnastics when I was like really young, and my mom put me into those classes. We did 2 years of competitive swimming. We did a year or two of like karate.
Did you ever get a white belt? Or
I think we got like yellow or orange. So like we got
Nice.
a little ways up, yeah.
Yeah.
In school, I did basketball for years, did like travel basketball, stopped, I think,
Wow.
my sophomore year of high school. Did outdoor track middle school through high school. And then when I stopped playing basketball, I started doing indoor track, which is when you have like a very big winter, you have indoor track and you have outdoor track, and there's different events.
Wait, will you explain that to me? I was kind of confused when you said outdoor track. I was like, is there a different track?
Yes. Yeah. So like indoor track, some schools are nice enough to like have a little like indoor mini track. And I think one lap is 200 meters. It's like a
Okay.
tiny track. And it's like around their gymnasium. So some schools had that. We ran in the hallways. Like we would do laps
What?
around. Yeah, we'd do laps in the hallway after school.
Like,
and, like-
as a sport.
Yes, I would hurdle down the English wing in the hallway. Yeah. And
Is that because your school had 100 people at it?
Yes, but also like it was like I don't know where everybody else ran at other schools, but like not all the schools had indoor tracks to actually run on. There was only
Yeah, but that's
few in
like-
the area.
I feel like that's like saying, oh, we had a high school swim team, but we didn't have a pool, so we just swam in the pond.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, we had hallways. So like, yeah, I knew, because our school was kind of like one big square, and then
Yeah.
there was like an outpost of like a single hallway. And so like the single hallway, we would set up hurdles in the hallway and you'd run. And then when you do the big square, that was like a little under 200 meters. So like you'd do laps around it, but you had to know how to turn so you didn't run into like the water bubbler, and like you didn't run into like the lockers.
Into the what?
The water fountain. You call it like a water bubbler where I'm from.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah. But so you had to like know how to take the turn so you didn't like run into shit. Oh, sorry, I swore. But so yeah, so indoor track, outdoor track. And I was like multi-event. So I was never the best at any one event, but I was decent at a lot of events and
Okay.
would score points that way. So for
Nice.
indoor track, there's only 3 field events for indoor. You can do high jump, you can do shot put, and you can do, maybe there's only 2. No, there's only 2. It's just shot put
Okay.
and high jump. So I did both of those. And then I would run typically in like the 4x4 and do the 55-meter hurdles. It's tiny. You only do half because it's a
It's in
tiny
the
track.
hallway.
Well, I mean, we go to the school that has a tiny track, but yeah.
Okay.
And then in outdoor track, I would throw javelin, throw shot put,
Whoa.
and then I would do the 100-meter hurdles, and then either like I did the 400-meter hurdles a little bit, or I'd do like the 4x4. So I was
This
like
is-
the one that did all the events.
Kind of reminds me a lot of Nikki in middle of nowhere, Canada,
Yeah.
where school was super tiny. There
Yeah.
wasn't really a lot of things. She did track and field as well for quite a bit. I wonder if they did similar things where it was like they had to be indoors for track. I wonder if they did pole vault indoors in the winter.
I don't,
When
I
is
mean, there's
track
like,
season?
so like track is technically like a spring sport,
Oh, okay.
like normal track and field. But like, yeah, but then I know pole vault, there's like special places you like the kids that did pole vault went to
Oh.
like special places to go learn pole
Got
vault.
it.
That wasn't
Yeah.
like the school, they typically had outside coaches
Pole vault
involved.
courses
Yeah.
that everybody had to compete at.
But then, so
What else did you do?
What else did I do? I did 1 season of soccer. I didn't really like it. I played field hockey all the way through college. Played all 4 years on my varsity field hockey team in college. Was captain my senior year. Did all that. Loved that. Played indoor field hockey, which is also different. And it's actually like we would play on indoor tennis courts. And then you have walls that you can like bounce the ball off of, but you can't lift the ball at all. It's so fast and it's so fun.
Huh.
Indoor field hockey is incredible.
Indoor field hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I wish we had field hockey out here. Like, yeah, there's none close by. There's no like pickup leagues or anything. But I keep my stick in my car at all times just in case. For like the fingers crossed moment that it like comes that I can just
that somebody's like, hey, you want to go play field hockey? And,
I'm like,
yes.
Absolutely, born ready.
Was field hockey your most favorite sport?
Yes, absolutely.
What was your least favorite?
Wait, I'm not done with all my sports though.
Oh.
Well, we also did like golf and tennis camp for like multiple years in the summer. So golfed a little and tennis a little. And then like fun, I don't think these really count, but we can call them that they count, is like in college, we had our field hockey team had a like intramural ice hockey team. And that was fun. It was stupid and we weren't good at it. And I don't think it counts.
But you were a figure skater. Did that transfer?
I was going to say, but I know how to skate. So it was fun.
So you were like one of the best players? Or did other people know how to skate too?
No, most people didn't know how to skate. So yes, by default, because I didn't know how to. We had like 3 girls that knew how to skate. But It was just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and then now I do CrossFit, have done Olympic weightlifting, and then like we've played pickleball just for fun, but I don't really count that.
And running.
Yeah. And I ran a marathon.
Yeah. Did some training for that.
Did a lot, put in a lot of hours for that one.
You might be winning the award for most sports ever played.
Yeah, looking back now, like when I was a kid, I never thought that was like unique or different, or like not everybody did a bajillion different activities. But looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was really cool that my parents did that.
Yeah.
And just like supported it all.
I feel like we need to get you a job that allows you to go explore and play other sports.
Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. Do a little once a month, Casey learns a new sport.
Yeah. 12
Master
months
of none.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. That's literally the principle of CrossFit is be good at everything, not excellent at anything.
Exactly. And I think that is one thing that like resonates with me with CrossFit is because like, you know, even when I was in high school in track, I was like, yeah, I'm not the best at anything, but I can do all of them. You know, like put me wherever and I'm going to like do okay or decent, or I can learn it or I can figure it out. Like that was what was fun for me.
Yeah.
And just like the learning team aspect of it. Yeah.
Learning and team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah.
Man, it's like growth and family are 2 of our core values or something.
Oh my God. Wild. It's wild how that worked out.
Very cool. What about actual school? So all we've talked about is sports. Did you actually go to school? What was your favorite subject in high school or college? What was your least favorite subject?
So I really like math and science. I studied chemical engineering in college. And yeah, anything that's like, it sounds silly, but I don't know, just like math, science, STEM, all of that. In college, I also did this thing called Engineering Ambassadors, where it was a like group that I was a part of, and we went to like local, it was kind of like a little job. We went to local middle schools and high schools, and then we would like present on some sort of engineering topic or some sort of STEM topic. And then we would do a like hands-on activity with the kids and like kind of teach them about it. So I really like STEM topics and like engineering and mathematics and physics and all of that, but I like explaining it to somebody else in a way that is like accessible and they can understand it, and then they can come out of it and being like, oh my God, look, I did that, or like I understood that, and like see the fun in it, like the teaching aspect, which again like really correlates to being a coach and helping encourage someone to be like, yes, you can move your body that way, and then they do it and they're like, oh my God, right? So it all very much like meshes together in the same sort of way. But
I feel like that's super unique as well. chemical engineering, was there more physics type stuff related to that, or is it a lot more like theoretical math type of stuff? Because I feel like I loved physics science, like physical sciences, and like biology and physiology and physics, because it was like, hey, let's do some of this, like do the equations, look at the science behind it, and then you can actually like go out and see it. Where a lot of like the theoretical stuff, it was like you do these equations and just trust that it's right. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So what was that more like?
It's like, it's like both, because you start off, with your classes being a little bit more like things you can see. It's like the basic engineering courses. Like I just know it as IEA, and I don't remember what it stands for. But it's more like the basic, like a point, and then what are the forces in the different directions, and like trusses, and like the basics that kind of lean more into civil engineering a little bit too. But then as you get more into like specific chemical engineering courses, it's like transport phenomena and like how heat flows and mass flows and like in equals out, but then you have all these other losses, and then it gets more into like what are the constants and specific like, you know, things with steam and superheat versus saturated steam, and how does all of that relate, and like phase changes and that sort of thing.
Ugh. I don't know if I can handle.
Yeah, it becomes less visible. Well, technically it's all still visible because it's just around you, but like, but compared to being like, oh yeah, that whatever thing object is like hanging this way, and so the force is this way and this way, like it becomes less of that.
Yes.
And more like the way that the water flows in the tube or in the pipe, and the boundary layer between the edges of the pipe, and how does that affect the flow, and like turbulent versus laminar flow, and like that sort of realm. So it becomes less like, yeah, I can see that, but technically you still can. Yeah.
Yeah. It becomes a lot more theoretical, but it technically still is stuff that you can,
like technically it's
see.
still just like observations of the world.
Yeah. So that's what you studied in college. Where was college? In Massachusetts as well?
It was in Troy, New York.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like 20 minutes outside of Albany, New York. So like not New York City, New York State.
Yeah. I just had a conversation with somebody else the other day. My dad was born in Troy.
No way, that's cool. Yeah. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, RPI, right in Troy, New York.
That's crazy. I've
Downtown
literally never
Troy
ever.
Is so cool.
Really?
Now, it got cooler the longer that we were there. It was kind of like up and coming a little bit, but there's some really cool things to do. And like it has like old industrial era brick buildings where you can see like the little pulley at the top where they used to get things in and out. Like it's cool.
Huh. Yeah. This was
cool.
he was born 1959, and he was there until like 1963, and so he wasn't there for very long. But wild. I've never heard anybody else associate with Troy, New York before.
Yeah.
So first time.
Yeah, I lived there for a while for school.
4 years, more than 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. So what happened post college? You were in Troy for 4 years, got a chemical engineering degree. Where'd you go?
And so I did an internship with the company that I work for now. I did an internship in Pennsylvania, and they were like, yeah, we're going to offer you a full-time role. And I was like, I really would prefer not to live in Pennsylvania. And lucky enough, they had some other locations, one of them being Oxnard, California. And so going into my senior year of college, I was like, at the end of this, I move across the country, which is kind of wild to like look back and just be like, yeah, we're just going to do that and move on our own and figure it out. But my sister, a little bit after college, moved to Wisconsin. She lived in Milwaukee. So she kind of opened the door for me to be like, yeah, I don't have to stay home. Because like, again, I grew up where my parents grew up and they really didn't leave. So that was kind of like, I don't know, like, can I go wherever I want to go?
Yeah.
But my sister moved. So I was like, cool, I can move. And like, who doesn't want to live in Southern California? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Moved out here on my own. Didn't know a single person except for like the people that I met that I worked with.
Did you get sent out here with a group of hires?
Nope, just me. Like, I
You're
mean,
the
there were
only-
2 other people that hired or that started at the same time as me, but I didn't know who they were. They were from other places in the country. Like,
Got it.
yeah, so I didn't know anyone. And then, yeah, like
Are
my
you allowed
entire...
to tell us who you work for?
I don't know, probably. I work for Procter Gamble.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. But my entire life being so involved in team sports specifically, like even the individual-ish sports, like I would really say the only individual one was figure skating. And otherwise everything else was pretty much with the team. Even if I was doing individual events and track, it was still with the team, right? So having my entire life all the way up through college, like my core friend group being my teammates, it was really weird suddenly being like, oh, I don't have a sport and therefore I don't have my people. That was like kind of a weird realization that I didn't know I was going to have because I never was faced with it, you know? And so kind of like stumbled through that of like trying to figure out how to navigate being a young adult on their own in a place that you know no one. Which is wild to think that I just like casually like was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. But we did it. And then I was following some like bodybuilding programs, just going to like the 24-hour fitness. And it wasn't that I like couldn't follow it. And like, yeah, I was totally active even during that time. But I was like, me with my headphones in, I'm not meeting anyone. Like the place that I used to meet people is through being active. And I was like, I'm not meeting anyone. I have no friends. Like I prefer to, outside of work, not hang out with people from work because I will just default to talking about it. Like, you know, especially in a business that's 24/7, like there's always something to talk about and or to do. And I was like, I need some space. And then I looked up some CrossFit gyms online because I was like, towards the end of my time at RPI, being in sports, you know, after field hockey, which is a fall sport, so I had my rest of my senior year to not be in my sport. The trainers, the athletic trainers for like all of the teams and everything, they put together at one point this like kind of like pseudo CrossFit game style little like competition thing. And I had done some different, like I was getting my programming from them already. And so I did that just for fun. And it was just different workouts that kind of leaned into a little bit of functional fitness, very kind of. And so then I was like, well, as I moved out here, I'm not really meeting people, trying to figure out how to navigate life. I was like, well, I've kind of done something similar to CrossFit a little bit. And like, I know it is more community based. Like, let me Google some CrossFit gyms. And I was like, oh, there's this one that's like a mile from my work. So that's perfect. I'm just going to go there every afternoon. Cause like I'm used to going to practice. I went to practice every day all my life for one thing or another. And so that's how I found this place. And that's how I found all of my friends. That's how I found my now husband. That's how I found like my whole California family and everything in between. Like, and now I coach here. But yeah.
I feel like I kind of also went through, and I've shared my story a couple of different times, but I went through a very similar thing with that, like playing sports my entire life and then kind of getting that like abruptly ripped from me. I think maybe it's a little bit different on your space, but I think we experienced a lot of the same things of like, that was just my, like, that was my friend group. That was like all my exercise. It was like my outlet. It was like what I did with all my extra time. And so like when I stopped doing that, I was like, what do I do? Like I lost all my friends. Like I lost, my exercise. I lost like a social outlet. I had like this massive amount of time to fill now because I wasn't practicing. And I was like, what do
Yeah.
I fill this with? Like, how do I? And then I tried to do the gym thing, maybe different from you. I went through like a period of time where I kind of got super depressed, gained a bunch of weight. And I was like, you know what? I need to get back in the gym. And so I was like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week, 6 a.m. And I'm going to be there for an hour and a half every day. I'm going to do some cardio. I'm going to do some weights. I'm going to make this plan. Did it for like the 6 months, not 6 weeks, 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, I was like, this sucks. Like, I was like, I can't do this. I was like, putting my headphones in and working out by myself for an hour and a half every single day is miserable. I hate it. And finally,
Well,
I had go ahead.
well, and I don't know about you, but like sometimes, like I love just some like put your head down, go to work times, right? And I love just like
Sure.
headphones in. Like occasionally, that is the therapy that like we all need, right? Like
Yeah.
put your headphones in, get to work. But I don't know about you, but like not having any competitiveness in it either was like so no fun for me. I was like, I'm just going through this just to do it. I'm not
Yeah.
like I think and that was one thing that I kind of realized is like, oh, I do thrive off of like trying to beat someone. Like
Yeah.
very honestly, like that's so fun to me. And like, am I gonna win every time? Absolutely not. There are girls here that freaking could like mop the floor with my ass. Like crazy, incredible athletes here. But
Yeah.
like to have that versus just to go into the gym and be like, I'm just doing this thing because I know it's good for me, but like it's not making me feel that good or anything else. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
going through the motions, and then you don't even get much out of it because you're just going through the motions, and it's like not super intentional or like driven.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that.
So you Googled us at that time. How old were you at that time when you moved across country?
It
You
was
remember?
2019, so do some math.
23?
I think it was like 23. Yeah, I think it was
23.
23.
Yeah, that's super young to move across the country and land in a place that you didn't know anybody and start a new job at a big company. What do you do at Procter and Gamble? And what did you start doing? Do you still do that? Has your role changed?
Yeah, so I started as a process engineer, which is a little like blanket term and depends on where you are in the world of kind of what that means. But like for me, it was a lot of we go through like a pretty intense qualification period where it's like learning the entire how the paper machines work. So I spent a lot of time learning the paper machines and all of like the ancillary systems, and then you get like verbally, I guess you go through like a verbal exam for each system, and you have to like memorize all of these systems and how they work, and then you have to know all the control schemes, and you go through like this big chunk of time that's like learning technically, and then you go into more of like what your role is, and it's a little more involved in terms of like you deal with quality items because it's like superior products, right, and superior quality, and then also you're helping with how can you optimize the operation. So it's like a 24/7 run business. We have teams that cycle on shifts, and it's involved with like managing that and things or systems that either are in place that could be improved upon or systems that aren't in place that we should put into place, so that we can help drive like the key metrics that are really just like process reliability and like tons or cases out the door. So I did that. Then I was a machine manager, which is like pretty much being the person responsible for all of the metrics of the paper machine. So it's a step up from going from like helping optimize to being like managing the entire thing. And so I did that for 2.5 years, and it's pretty intense, pretty involved, lots of hours. And then from there, now I am our like department leader for our energy and utilities department. So in my new role, I'm no
I have no
longer
idea what that
on.
means.
It's okay, you don't need to. Pretty much we have a whole plant that needs a lot of different utilities. Like, so for example, we need electricity, we need steam, we need hot air, we need compressed air, you need cooling water, you need chilled water, like all of those things that enable all of the processes to run. And my department is responsible for making sure that those are always available and maintained.
That makes a lot of sense. I was like, utilities, I'm thinking like trash and internet and
yeah.
like,
so,
which that is what it is, but it's just there's 1,000 more utilities that are needed than what would be normal utilities.
Yeah. So lots of different operations within my department in order to provide to the rest of the site. So it's kind of like, I guess, risk reward a little bit higher than like when it was on the paper machine, because like on the paper machine you make the paper, right? And then you supply to the converting lines on the other side of the plant, and there's a few converting lines that follow you. In the energy utilities department, you supply to the entire plant, and they all need it all the time. So it's definitely like higher stakes, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. In terms of like, if we can't supply compressed air, everyone will stop producing. Like everything will stop because they need it in order to run. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's
how long have you been in that role?
A year and a half. So,
okay.
Yeah,
for a while.
I've been with P&G for about 5.5 years now. I've been out here for 5.5 years.
Woo woo.
I know, long time.
I kind of want to know a little bit about this lovely man who you call your husband.
The honorary Oxnard Movement Welcoming Committee, Tyler McGee.
Who is he? How did you meet him? What do you like about him?
What do I like about him? A lot of things. Tyler is an athlete at the gym. And I met him before I was even coaching. And it was just when I was an athlete here for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
For quite a while. Before I got into coaching. And we met one day at the gym over by the Cubbies.
Nice.
He was wearing a sweatshirt that he was actually wearing today that says Green Monster, which is a reference to the giant wall at Fenway Park. And I was like, Massachusetts, Boston.
Oh.
I'm from there. And so we started talking.
He was like, "This is my wife."
Yeah, pretty much. He says that too. He's like, right away, I was like, yep.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, but worked out pretty well. So now it's us and our little dog, Noodles.
That's right.
Yeah.
I almost got a dog at the same time that you guys got a dog.
I know. We could have been
dog buddies.
Dog buddies, because it was going to be like a sibling, right?
Yeah, brother or sister. I think Noodles is a girl, right? And Noodles I was looking at another same litter, a little boy. I can't remember what they had named. It was like
Campfire
Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Campfire. Maybe that was it. Yeah. That's super fun.
This is Noodles.
The cutest little Australian Shepherd. Australian Shepherds are one of my all-time favorite dogs. She's
a maniac, but a great maniac who we adore.
Yes. Very, very wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like fun or interesting point about the way that your guys' kind of relationship transpired too is I've got some expectations that are set between staff and members. And there's like pretty clear lines that our staff should not be dating members, and vice versa. But you were not staff when you and Tyler started dating. And that ended up going super, super well for you. I think that's I don't know, like common thing, maybe is not the right word, but at really good CrossFit gyms, I do think that it's a common occurrence that somebody's going to meet person that they're going to marry, which is kind of cool. I think Rochelle also met Laddie here, or maybe they had their wedding
Oh,
here or got engaged here. So two people,
yeah.
actually three people, met their significant other here as well.
Yeah.
Um, so that is kind of a unique and cool thing that it happens inside CrossFit gyms. You've been CrossFitting for about 5 years. If you've been here for 5.5, you were not here for very long before you walked into the
No, I wasn't.
doors.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think I was only like in California before CrossFit for like 4 months, maybe,
yeah,
before joining the gym. And then I was like, oh my God, I found my thing. I needed a thing to fill the void that was practice and field hockey and like team sports and like that. And I was like,
yeah.
cool, done. Got
Um,
it.
I like I kind of like thought back and was trying to remember, and I can't really remember, so I'm deferring to you. How how did we go from being an athlete to you being like, hey, I want to coach? I don't remember that process.
Um, I don't really remember either. I think it was something about like the CDP. You might have been like doing a CDP, and I was like, oh yeah, I could like this would be dope. Like I would love to coach. Like it's cool. And like a lot of the coaches, like a lot of the women here who are coaches, I was like, those are people that I look up to, and I also like consider really good friends.
Mm.
And like I want to be like in my head, I was like, I want to be a part of the cool kids club. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
That's serious. I was like, I want to be part of that crew. How do I get there? And so I did it.
All right.
Much like for like as cringy as it probably sounds, like very genuinely, I was like, because I was slowly getting to know like Maddie and Brenda and everyone. I was like, oh, they're sick. Like I want to be around them more and do more
Yeah.
of that and be like them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And we've got a pretty. It's pretty hard to be a coach here. We got a pretty like long process to
Yes.
be a coach, and it's not just get your level 1 certificate.
No.
And we've had many iterations of what the CDP has looked like over the years. And I think when you went through it in 2021, maybe, or 2020, maybe, um, I think it was 12 to 14 weeks long. Did we do it as a group? Were you a part of a group, or did you go through it individually?
I'm not sure. Only because I think there were other people going through it, but I don't know if we like did I think we only did like one or two like sit down classes maybe.
Sessions?
Sessions. Yeah. I can't remember the way that we set it up. I remember like doing the homework and stuff, and then I remember all of the all of the intern hours and all
Practicing,
of
yeah.
like the practice ones. And
Yep.
part of the reason I specifically remember it is because I was supposed to go home that winter, and then COVID hit, or it was like around the time when COVID was starting. So then I didn't go home, and so because I had all of that time off from work that I was supposed to be home, I got like a ton of my hours in then, and it like very much worked out to my advantage.
Yeah.
But it was because of like it was right before everything like shut down. So I
Yeah.
think it was 2020.
Yeah. That would have been like end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So like January to March of 2020.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember exactly.
Cool.
But I think that was when like I had started CDP.
Yep.
Around that time.
Yep. Very unique time to start coaching.
Yeah.
Because then gym shut down like
Mm-hmm.
within 3 months, and we were doing online stuff. I do remember you coming and helping us film some stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
While COVID was happening, we were
I
like
think I-
filming classes.
Yeah, I think I like did one or two like Zoom classes.
Yep.
I think we did like a trivia night.
Yep. I do remember the
Yeah.
trivia night too. Yeah.
Yeah.
A very unique time. COVID. That dang COVID.
I know. That was wild. So
That was hard for everybody. I'm so glad that we got through that.
me too.
I want to know. We'll kind of close up here a little bit, what are some things that you, I mean, we've touched on some of these, but what are some of the things that you love about coaching, and maybe what's one of your like least favorite things about coaching?
I think the things I love about coaching is like very similar to the things I like about like teaching in any way, but like when someone gets it, like, and that sort of like not aha moment, but like that moment where they're like figuring it out and they're like, oh, okay, like that helps so much. Like you give a cue and they're like, oh my God, it just like clicked. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love that and I like live for that. Because like being on the other side and knowing what it feels like as an athlete to be like incredibly frustrated with like some sort of skill or movement and then finding something where you're like, oh my God, that made a difference. Like that feels so good on the receiving end. So then to be able to like give that to people, I love.
Yeah.
So that's probably like the thing that I get like most jazzed up about around coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Or just seeing someone like get really like proud of themselves for being like, hell yeah, I did it. Like
Yeah.
I love that, to like cheer somebody on and to help on that journey for them to realize that they like could do it all along. Like, and help them get to that spot of like, no, you can do this. It might take some time. It might take some like progression over a longer period of time in terms of what the scaling looks like. And that is okay. Like we'll get there as long as we like stay consistent. So I don't know. I love all of that. Least favorite? Sometimes I want to do the class, but then I have to coach instead. And sometimes that sucks because I'm like, oh, like Saturday mornings, especially like 7 a.m. Saturday mornings, like that class is like so fun. And typically I do the workout right before, but then I see everyone get to do it together and I'm like, I wish I could do that too with them right now, but I have to coach it.
Yeah.
Which sounds so stupid, but it's true because it's like, I totally get like FOMO when everyone like gets to do a workout together. I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah. There's definitely something different about leading the class than taking the class. And I think, and somebody who's not in the CrossFit world doesn't really understand that, because a lot of fitness instructors, they do the class with their people. And like, that is not what we do at CrossFit. The coach is expected to coach during a class, and they don't do or demonstrate the workout while people are also doing it with them. So for sure, that is a shift. And like, sometimes I wish that. Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
But
I will say with that, like if I was doing the workout with people, as much as I'm getting FOMO, like I think one of my strengths is like giving cues during the workout, which I know like sometimes gets in the way, but it's when I get to most focus on one person doing the thing and like being able to help them. And so part of my favorite part about it, I wouldn't get to do if I was doing the work.
Yep.
So like my least favorite part enables me to do my most favorite part. So like there's a reason why I'm not doing the class. Like you said, like there's a reason that I'm not just like burping with you or like also snatching. Like, no, I'm going to watch you and I want to see where your heels are and I want to see where your contact point is. Yeah. And we're going to make sure those elbows lock out. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're going to look for all the things, but I can't look for all the things if I'm doing it. So
absolutely. Yeah. And we do our coaches evaluations. That's one of the things that you score highest on, is actually being able to coach people during the workout and make change during workouts, which is an excellent quality to be able to have. It's not just that you're demonstrating the workout, but you're actually getting change out of athletes during the workout, which is an amazing thing to have in a coach. Sometimes I wish that I would get to have you coach 20 more hours than you coach right now.
Once you get me 20 more hours in a week somewhere, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, we need to add some more time to Casey's life. Well, cool. Hopefully this has been really fun for anybody getting to watch. If you don't come to Saturday classes, or if you're not here at 3:45 in the morning, you might not see Coach Casey.
That part.
She's You got a lot of awesome things, a lot of great insights. If you want to reach out to her, I'm sure she would love to chat with you, shoot the shit, kind of go
Absolutely.
back and forth with you. I
We didn't
will
even
link.
talk nutrition. I like to talk about that too.
Yes, we didn't even
After
talk.
after like since I moved out here, I've been on and off tracking. So 5.5 years of on and off tracking macros and going through everything from cuts to
Bulking
maintenance
to
to breaks from all of
maintaining.
it to
Yep.
everything to
Yeah.
watching the muscle go up to like all of it with the in bodies. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I
Actually,
will leave.
one of the guys that I work with, he's like been on this really long weight loss journey, but he'll like check in with me almost once a week and be like, because he's actually really good at eating like the same thing every day, and he like
Yeah.
knows what his total calories are, and he'll like go over it with me. He's like, so I've been stuck here for a little bit. I've been thinking about changing these, like, and taking off and I'm like, let's do it this way instead. And he's like, okay, we're gonna see. And then he'll come back and be like, you were right.
Nice.
It's awesome. It's so fun. It like just kind of happened organically, but it's really cool. And he's like crushed it.
That's great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if somebody's got questions about nutrition stuff or struggles with nutrition stuff or like putting on muscle, taking away muscle, putting on fat, taking off fat, maintaining all the above, Casey has
a lot of
ridden the roller
experience in it.
coaster.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll leave her Instagram handle. Follow her. Send her a DM. If you send me an email, I will connect you with her as well. Thank you so much, Casey, for being on. I could probably spend another hour just chatting with you. Maybe we'll do another future episode and talk all things non-CrossFit or pickleball or other fun things that we can spend time talking about. But I appreciate it. Happy Thursday, everybody. We'll see you guys all next week.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye.